Video, we have a massive win coming out of CGC and some crushing blows also coming out of CGC. Tons of information in this video that is super helpful for all collectors, young and old alike. I think there's something in here for everyone, just with information about the hobby and how to, have this hobby fund itself, things to look out for, tons of awesome stuff. Let's start with the massive win coming out of CGC, and that would be, gosh dang, this thing hits. It's so minty now. Nintendo Comic Systems, no number, in a 9.8. This is one of only 7 copies known to exist in the world in the condition of 9.8 on the CGC census. It's from Valiant Comics from 1990, and I do believe it's the first appearance, here on the back, I'll put it up on the screen, it's the first appearance of Link. This is a page story based on Link, the Legend of Zelda video game, so it's the first comic book appearance. This is like a real thin little thing, only a few pages, and I got this in a collection, and it was a 9.0, and I was looking at it, and I thought, I know this book is super expensive in a 9.8. A 9.0, I think it's around $400 or $500, actually probably around $300 for 9.0, and a 9.8, it's around $2,500 or something, so a huge, thousands of dollars increase. And the first thing I look for in a CPR canon when it comes through, especially if it's like a 9.0 going to a 9.8, is the spine. A lot of times with a 9.0, you'll take a look at the spine and you'll see a lot of spine ticks. And so this was a 9.0, and I'm looking at the spine, and it is perfect. There's there was non-color breaking stuff, I believe. We're going to see actually videos of the pressing of this book, but no massive color breaks. A lot of times with a 9.0, there'll be color breaks, and it's just not even an option to crack the book. So that's the first thing is you look for is color break on the spine. If it doesn't have that, then you start looking further. And when I was looking at the book, I saw that there was a lot of non-color breaking finger bends and stuff, because it's such a thin book that just touching it puts a finger bend in it, but they were not color breaking. I'm like, this one has a real chance of 9.8. So I sent it off to my buddy Hugh in Canada, which, by the way, you guys, I have a new presser, Ron from Palm Beach Pressing, I believe, Palm Beach Presser. I'm going to collaborate with him in a future video for a stateside presser. My buddy Hugh is in Canada. He has a full-time job and a family and stuff, so he's, it's not really, a feasible thing to consistently have him press books, but when he does, he's a master at the craft. So I sent this off to my buddy Hugh, and he pressed it, and we got the bump to a 9.8 to the tune of thousands of dollars. So let's take a look at his work and what he had to say about this book. So I'll put it up on the screen while I look at it.
Nintendo, this was a pain in the ass. Okay, it was riddled, absolutely riddled with so many finger bends.
Nintendo, this was a pain in the ass. He put a lot of time into this thing.
Okay, now you can kind of see when I zoom in with the camera. See how there's still some little bit of darkness in the dirt. Okay. Human eye, though, looking at this, doesn't look like that anymore, or doesn't look like quite like that. But that's what it used to look like times about 4 with the human eye across everything, the whole fucking thing. And I'm just so surprised that yellow didn't come off while I cleaned it.
So it had a lot of soiling and dirt and finger bends, and he cleaned it all up. It looks absolutely phenomenal now. Look at that finger bend in there. Just sharp. But it didn't break color. It's just a soft, pliable cover material. So oftentimes it just depends on the cover material that they use for a book. And this one was forgiving in the sense that it flattened out. So this was a success story. I've had many success stories with Hugh. I'm sure I'll have many with Ron from Palm Beach here soon as well. I'm just kind of, hesitant to do CPR because as a dealer, I make my money on the grade that it already is. So it has to be a slam dunk. This one looked like a slam dunk, and it certainly was, to the tune of thousands of dollars. So me and Hugh might have to make a special trip out to Vegas to celebrate. One thing I will say about this is the case seems a little bit different. With this submission and these inner wells, they look different than other inner wells. I would assume it was in response to the bend gate thing. They feel a little different. They line up better on the side. Sometimes sometimes it might just be a batch of the cases from batch to batch. Like maybe they didn't change anything. It's just like slight manufacturing differences from, all of the thousands and thousands of plastic slabs they get. But the inner wells seem slightly different as well. And so, all of them are almost perfectly flat. There's no bending or whatever. So I would assume that it has to be in response to that they thickened the inner well or something, and it appears that they have fixed that. Before we get to the crushing blows, I want to remind you we have a monthly giveaway here on the YouTube channel. If you subscribe, comment, and like, you're entered to win a free slab. And if you head over to BryceComics.com, we have tons of new inventory coming through right now because we just bought a massive collection. New collections on the way. Sign up for the newsletter while you're there, and you get entered to win a free slab. And use code COLLECT10 to get 10% off all in-stock items. That code is always active. Follow me on Whatnot. Link down below for $15 for your first purchase. We're having slab shows, a ton of fun, giveaways every 5 minutes, and I hope to see you over on Whatnot. So now, let's talk about the crushing blow. So I had 3 books, and time to time when I get collections in, some books will be damaged, and I'll just set them aside and then send them off to CGC. So I had 3 books here that lost the grade, that were damaged inside the case, and this one is probably the worst. Marvel Comics Presents number 72. So I'll put this up on the screen, what I'm watching. This is what it was. All right, so here's the book. As you catch the light, you can see just something atrocious going on here. All right, so that's what it was. It was a 9.8, and it had some clear damage in there, and I didn't know what it was from, and it came back a 5.5. Now, one of the things that made me laugh about this, and we'll get a closer look at it, was the email I got from CGC. Caleb from CGC, and I don't have anything wrong with it, so I got a chuckle out of this, just the wording of it, but hi, Bryce Comics, reaching out regarding submission number. 3 books in the invoice were found damaged in their holders. Marvel Comics Presents 72 had moisture in the well that caused it to adhere to the cover. The book dropped from a 9.8 to a 5.5. So that is very interesting, and let's get a closer look at it here on the camera. So it dropped to a 5.5, and you can tell the difference. I'll screenshot, this to the other one. He said there was moisture in the inner well. So when they took this thing out of the case, it totally peeled the cover off. And as you can see, it's still there. So this was moisture damage inside the case, and it peeled the cover off. So bad news on that one. All right, so here we have X-Men 266, and unfortunately, the inner pages are pulling away from the cover, as you can see there, by the pages sticking out, and it's caused by the staples there. As you can see, we've got some gnarly staple tears. So I'm curious what this will grade at coming back, because it's such a key issue. It's probably still worth it to grade this book as far as, resale value. And I'm curious what the grade is going to be. I would just crack it out and sell it raw, but I'm not sure what to put on it with staple tears like this. So there you saw it was a 9.8 with staple pulls, and we sent it back in. Now it's a 9.2. And as you can see, it lines up well, so they were able to fix it and get it to sit in the inner well where you can't tell the staples are pulling except for at the actual staples. Like, you can't tell around the cover. So this is actually a cool opportunity. Someone actually just bought it this morning, and you're getting a 9.8 or 9.2 white that looks like a 9.8 white. It just has those staple tears. So that was really interesting to find out how much staple tears can drop the grade of a book. Now, I got to talk about this for a second. Why did it pull away from the staples in the first place? If you ask CGC, they would say, well, we're not responsible for what happens when a book after it leaves us. Somebody could take the book and use it as a Frisbee. And if you use it as a Frisbee, it could, shift inside the case. I think that these cases are inadequate, that they don't properly protect the books. It shouldn't be the case that under normal shipping conditions, it's possible for the pages to pull away from the cover. Because what's happening is the cover has some kind of contact or pressure or static in the inner well. So the cover is sticking to the inner well, but the pages can move freely. And it just with normal shipping, they throw books all the time, even if just shipping from CGC to you, I've had it so many times where the pages pull away. And so I think that this case is inadequate and that they can do better. There's got to be a way to get it to where the book has no possible way of pulling away from the staples. And it's important to note too that the degree to which it happens affects the grade. You know, it could drop it to a 9.6. I've seen it drop it to a 9.6. It could drop it down to an 8.0 if it completely rips away and the cover's completely detached. So interesting right there about staple detachment, covers pulling away. It depends on the severity, and CGC needs a better case. All right, so what does CGC have to say about that? Uncanny X-Men 266, staples pulled in the inner well, causing tears that drop the book from a 9.8 to a 9.2. Okay. I don't know why I thought this email was funny. It's actually very professional. The last book is Final Boss #1, and this one I did not know was damaged. Okay, we had a cracked case, but I didn't know that it was damaged, and it went from a 9.8 to an 8.0. It's Tyler Kirkham Battle Damage signature series with the custom sketch. But this might be the one that made me laugh. CGC says Final Boss #1 blew through the bottom of the well, causing damage that dropped the book from a 9.8 to an 8.0. Apologies for the bad news. Anyways, I just thought that, you know, if you were not expecting a grade drop and you got that email and said, just so you know, your book blew through the case and dropped from a 9.8 to an 8.0, apologies for the bad news. It's fine. It just made me laugh because I knew it was coming. I know that an email like that could be devastating if you were not expecting it. Absolutely devastating. Another email that is not devastating that you get from CGC is what I got with this Nintendo. So I submitted it under the modern tier, which was, you know, they limit the value at $400. And I got an email from them saying submission number had to be bumped to the high value tier. And so that's a very exciting email because you get that email and you go, oh, shoot, that means it got the bump, because why else would they move it from, you know, the $400 max to the unlimited range? And then you still don't know the actual grade. And this one took like 2 weeks for them to actually ship it. It just got stuck, which was nerve-wracking. But some massive wins and some massive blows from CGC, some interesting points of discussion all the way around. CPR is huge, you know, in this hobby, a great way to, you know, help fund the hobby. There's certain books that lend themselves to it. I would say that possibly this Nintendo comic system might be a good book to target. I saw a 9.6 that also had a finger bend on it. And, you know, if you can find a Nintendo high grade with no spine ticks and no color break, that it could be a huge bump for you. This one, I have actually, the Nintendo, I'm actually working out a trade. I believe it's going to go to Harvey, my friend Harvey, who I've done tons of trades with before. So we're in discussions about trading for that book. That's it for this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get entered to win a free slab this month, and head over to brycecomics.com, sign up for the newsletter to get entered to win a free slab over there as well. Follow us on Whatnot. $1 starts on tons of comics. Every Friday for the foreseeable future, we're doing $1 start slab shows. Link in the description for $15 for your first purchase. Follow me on Instagram for trades for grails and other fresh content over there. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. Catch you in the next video. Bye.